Hello, and let's start with iteration number 3, adding a new contact. Here is where we are. We set up the project and we were able to build the model, create the contact class, the contact data source class, and learn about the table view controller and how the controller is automatically connected to the table view as its delegate and data source, and we updated those functions in order to provide list of contacts and successfully displayed the list of contacts in iteration 2. Now we move on to iteration 3, and from now on all these 4 iterations are kind of independent of one another, so you can start either way. You can start with iteration 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6. They are all independent. I chose that order just my choice. So you can work it this way or work in any different way. So let's talk about adding a new contact. So what's exactly the scope we're trying to accomplish here? The user will select, so we need, the user is at the display contacts screen that has all the contacts that they currently have. So we need to give them a mechanism from that screen to select a new contact, meaning that they go to a new screen. Why do they need to go to a new screen? For the user to give us contacts, we need to provide them with a mean to input the details of that contact. In my example, I used only first name, last name, and email address. But if you have more, then the user, they need to be able to add all of this. So the easiest way to manage this addition process and provide the user with tools to input the information we need is to make it its own screen. So we'll have to have our, so we'll discuss in the view what that will be. So the user will select add new contact or interact with the list of contacts in a way to move to that new screen, and then they enter the information. Now, when the user is adding a new screen, there are two possibilities. The user may decide to change their mind at any point in time, which means a cancel. And cancel means that whatever the user did should be removed, and we should go back to the list of contacts or the main address book screen. Or the user may enter the information and decide that this is good, so they save the information. In real life situation, you may have some contacts that are required and some contacts that are optional. You may also have a specific format for some of those contacts. So we call this validation. So input validation is a very important step in data entry in general. This will be beyond the scope of a beginner module like the ones we are working with, but if you are interested, the basic concept of input validation is to have use the if statements for decision making and check the value that the user entered before you accept it into and add it to one of your contacts. So the scope is user navigates to a new contact screen, and in the new contact screen there are two options: cancel and don't do anything, or save what the user entered. Testing. So how do we test this? We have to test the cancel. So the user go to the new screen, click cancel, and they should go back and nothing changed. Or the user can enter information, save, and the information is added to the list of contacts. So how do we accomplish this scope? We follow the model view controller design pattern, and in the step solution formulation, we think about the model, what data items need to be added to the application to support this scope. And you'll notice that I need to have contact, I need to have first name, last name, email, I need the list of contacts, and all of this have been already created in the previous step. In the view, we will need to create a new screen, and we will continue to use the table view controller for that screen, just to demonstrate that you can do so many different things with a table view controller. You may say that I can use a regular view controller like we did in the previous projects, and that is correct. You don't have to use a table view controller here. All you need is to give the user text fields so that the user can enter the information. But I'm going to use the table view controller to show you and give you more experience with it. And then in the view as well, we need to learn how to navigate back from the add new contact, because we have two possibilities. We either cancel and go back without anything, or save, which means do something then go back. So in the past, whenever we use the push segue, we got an automatic back button that takes us back, which is very powerful if you're just displaying information to the user. But if there's interaction, like in this case, and there are different possibilities of the outcome of that new screen, then the push segue is not going to work, and we will introduce the unwind or exit segue, and we will be able to connect both screens, both buttons will have multiple pathway to go back to the main screen, and we'll see how we do that. On the controller, we would add a new custom controller, the new contact screen controller. And in the new contact screen, we will have to we will have to do multiple things. We'll have to manage the user input and wrap that in one of our in a contact data type. So that's the first step. The user will enter information, manage that, or wrap that information in a contact. And then when the user clicks save, we need to go back to the main controller with a save operation. So that's an exit segue towards save. And we'll see how we're going to do that, connect both of them. And then we have the cancel, which will not do anything in that regard. And we will use the prepare for segue to initialize a new instance of contact with the user information. So the solution implementation, we have the navigation controller added from the previous step. So we'll add a new screen for the contact view, connect the two views. We'll need to add a cancel function in the main controller and connect the cancel button to it. Add a save function, connect to the save button, and then manage the data information and refresh the table view. So we will see in the next video how we can implement that information. So that concludes iteration number 3, and let's move on to the implementation of that iteration.